Welcome into episode 144 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, host Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins.
Oh, hi.
Ben Wilson at our trading cards. And I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors. So I'm going to bring you a smart, insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central. On
YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. Follow us on Twitter About the Cards. Find us as a podcast everywhere. Check out the website about the cards, WordPress.com. We have a very special guest with us tonight, Doug Caskey of MojoBreak, the best in the business. His fingers have been iced from the Prizm today, so we're happy to have Doug on, and former podcast co-host. We're on a show together for a quick hot second.
Feels like that was a long time ago, and you guys, thanks for having me on. It's been a long time coming, and looking forward to an awesome show with you guys tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. Before we get started tonight, I usually kind of go through how's everybody's week and that kind of stuff. But man, 2021 could get better. But this week I found out, actually yesterday, found out that a close family friend passed away this weekend, and he was in his late 50s. He had an aneurysm, right? And he was a really good guy. His name was Alan Fairbrother. He did a lot here locally with youth soccer. He grew up in England, and he was just an all-around kind of unofficial mayor of my hometown. And he was the first one that taught me how to play fantasy football back in the early 2000s.
Wow.
And laughed at me when I drafted Michael Vick and Drew Bledsoe in back-to-back picks my first draft. But was a very kind man, and it's one of those things that something he would have never listened to or been interested in. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say something, because he was just a great person, and it's troublesome. I just kind of dude, this year already is trying to beat last year, at least in our family. So, but I want to have a good fun show tonight. I'm glad to have Doug here. I know Steph put in some weightlifting this week.
I did.
Nice.
We the Economy Dallas office. It's kind of been like a shared unit office building, and we got notice that we had a very minimal amount of days to move everything out so they could do construction on that half of the building. This unfortunately meant that Rich had to move over 3,200 count boxes out of the room and move them into the new room a couple hallways down. And Rich wasn't going to be able to do it in the time frame by himself. So, yeah, in 3.5 hours, we moved 200-ish boxes. I think we calculated out somewhere around $750,000 like 750,000 cards moved.
Wow.
In 3 hours.
It's not too bad.
No.
Put a little workout in, right? A little cardboard workout. Ben, how was your week, buddy?
Good. I think MojoBreak bust that in about a half hour when you went
right.
75-box mixer, and it's just like, what are we going to open? We're just going to do
20 minutes, actually.
My dad always is like, he goes, but they don't even stop to look at the cards. And I'm like, that's because what they're looking for, they know what they're looking for. This isn't one of those, let's sit back and cock our feet up and kind of have a nice leisurely afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, when you're breaking, Dad, you got to understand you're looking for certain things only. You'll get all your cards when they come home.
Right.
You can enjoy all of those. But right now we're just looking for, numbered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously autos and hits. And I was like, with the amount of product that they move, they don't have time to sit there and enjoy every base card. But I got something I normally don't get, and that's comic books.
Nice.
Courtesy
Look at those.
I know. I got the McGuire last week. I need to get the Eckersley. Those are from the early 90s. And it's Steph's fault because he's like, hey, check these out. You have to have these. And so those came today. And so there's something different to add to the collection. I don't like to get out of into the memorabilia too much because it's just there's so much stuff. You really have to decide, is it cards? Is it mem? Is it jerseys? Is it hats? You just don't have enough room for all of it.
That's beautiful. I like that one.
True.
You know what I want that I haven't had since I was a kid, and I forget the name. It's like the talking baseball thing where you put
the little machine.
Yeah, where you put the card in and talks about the player. I remember I had a Don Mattingly and a couple other players. I believe it was like the 89 design. Yep. Yeah, I remember getting it on my 8th birthday. It was like the coolest thing ever, and I wish I still had it.
Did you guys have the little baseball game that you had where it was like a little stadium and it came with cards?
Calico?
No, they weren't. They were 88. They had all the teams. Each disc that you could plug in had 3 different teams, like the A's, Rangers, and Angels, I think, or Mariners were together. And then when you turned it on, it would ask you, turn in your starting lineup, right? So, if you wanted to bat McGuire first, there was a little code that you would type in, and you could make changes. And then basically you pitch the ball by hitting a button, and then I have to hit something on my end to try to hit, and it would tell you what happened in the game. And it was friggin' neat. Great way to
that's fancier.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I can't believe I missed out on that one, man.
Yeah,
we had our baseball cards and dice we played with.
I'm going to see if I can take a look real quick and find out what it was. It was from 88. But yeah, no, it was phenomenal. A good way to keep track of your time and, stay out of trouble.
Sure. Definitely.
So let's get into, we have a couple questions for you, Doug, before we get into the meat of the show. But what was it like? You guys were involved in, again, the big break with Topps and Series 1 dropped, and you guys won the silver box cutter or was it a platinum box cutter? You won
platinum box cutter, yes.
Platinum. You won the coveted platinum box cutter. What was? I mean, has life changed for you? I mean, do you get recognized everywhere you go now?
Yeah, and I if it was last week, I would have had it. It's just like the cup in hockey where we're all sharing it. And my wife got mad at me because I was cuddling with it for about a week and a half. But it's no longer my turn anymore to have it. Dan has it now. But yeah, it was definitely a great accomplishment and a lot of fun. And that led us to the event tomorrow. We're going to be on Twitch on the MLB Network, Twitch, breaking some Topps boxes tomorrow. So
that's awesome. Yeah, be part of MLB Network and do cards. I mean, it's been a crazy ride. You guys have been going on this like a decade now.
Yeah.
And from where you went, like I always loved if you know Mojo, like if you go back, your old school Mojo, you remember the science project board.
Oh yeah.
And the breaking at the table, and I think someone had a dog named Posey that was always kind of in the background.
That's me, of course. That's me.
And I loved it. I mean, it was so great because it's like to see that, and then to take a look now, and you have the shop, and you guys have expanded, doing all these things in MLB Network. I mean, that is really crazy. And like, what 10 years ago to now, did you ever expect to be where you are?
Never. No, not at all. Just thought it was going to be like a side business and, just something to do fun with my friend. And, just 10 years later, here we are. So it's crazy. I still wipe my eyes and, don't believe it. But, we're still going. We're still having fun. And we're still looking for other ways to be creative. So
I love it. I love it. So recently, like, we've seen these huge spikes in prices and product.
Yeah.
And, I remember 2013 when baseball or basketball and football, especially, like, you couldn't give away at that point in time.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel now like some of these draft classes coming out kind of remind me of that 13 class where, like, in basketball, there's a couple of guys, but you don't feel all warm and fuzzy about them. But yet these prices are crazy. Have you seen an effect to your business with the prices where they're going, or where they are right now?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we have to deal with distributors, and we're just constantly seeing our allocation dwindle down, which I'm sure everybody's heard. But it's tougher and tougher, and then basically rebuying it is buying it at blowout, or any other major online retailers. So you kind of got to make the most of what you can and try to offer a fair price to your customers because. I mean, from where we were at then to where we are at now, I take a step. A lot of times I'm like, nobody's going to buy that. And they do. It amazes me because I'm like, we used to charge $50 for a 10-box mixer. Now those same mixers are like $300-$400, right? So it's, so it's like, I was like, I don't know if I'd buy that, but, there's always value in some of the singles, and I forget about that. These rookies, these base rookies and things like that. And, yeah, it's definitely changed significantly, and I don't know if we can comprehend how much demand is out there. I just hope some of them stay, and it doesn't come crashing hard fast.
Yeah, that's my big question is that a lot of people are getting into this and they're paying these prices, and we all have experienced like what was the norm for such a long time.
Right.
And in the last 2 years, we've seen the inflation kind of go up, and people are hopping in now thinking that's the norm, and what they're getting out of it maybe not worth it. And so how long until those people, my big thing is how long until they get burned too much where they just walk away.
Right. And it's crazy that since we've had the shop, I would say 90% of the people that are coming in now have been in it for like 6 months, and they won't even know what a hobby box is. So they'll be like, why is Optic 600 when I can get it online for like 150? And I'm like, well, you're getting a blaster or you're getting a mega box. And they're like, well, why are you so expensive? I'm like, we're actually cheaper than Blowout and, these other online retailers. But they just, all they knew in their world was what was at Target, what's at Walmart. And we're seeing that every day, having to educate them on the odds and, stuff that's in hobby boxes compared to blasters and mega boxes.
Speaking of MLB Network.
Kevin, nice. I love that design. That was a great design.
The reason it's on my desk.
What's that, Steph?
Nephew went Norgate and played 6 years for the White Sox.
Nice.
So we saw this week where I know, or it was late last week and this week where in Heritage, Kevin Biggio's card was missing from the set. And when you guys pre-sell like the Blue Jays, and that's the checklist that comes out, and a team collector or a Biggio fan thinks, oh, he's going to be in there. What does that do? I mean, what's your guys' stance been? Hey, is it just because they didn't produce the card? Unfortunately, it's not coming because now they're going to put in a later product and you could buy back in and get that. But what does that do for you as a break? Because you're kind of caught in the middle because somebody didn't do their job, and you said, hey, we're going to.
I've been more like that when I waited for a checklist because I wasn't sure. There was so many rookies this year, like obviously in Series 1, and I was like, I don't think they're going to use them all for Heritage, because we have high number coming out. So I waited a long, right? I waited a long time until I got a checklist. I usually pre-sell like a month in advance, but lately I've been waiting to make sure that things are on the checklist just because these things are going up, right? So, but if it did happen and there wasn't a player on the checklist, anybody could ask for a refund and they'd get it. So you're not going to hold on to anything.
You guys, that's the thing is that, I've always said everybody hands down, somebody asked me what was your best cardboard experience, and I was like, oh, buying from Mojo. Each and every time I've ever been in there or dealt with you guys, and even before we actually kind of really knew each other, and I was just like a customer.
Yeah.
I'm just like, these guys are straight up on it. They provide everything. They're entertaining in their breaks, and if you haven't, give them a shot. And that's the thing I love. And I mean, you guys have been doing this for so long now. I don't think that if you guys had bad business practices, you would be where you are. And that's the thing is there's so many guys so many breakers fly by night, and you see them here or there, or you have our everybody's favorite Brandon Cooks to 99 guys popping up, and then they're gone. And so that's the thing. And I want to put it out there because I know you got some flack a couple months back about some shipping thing, and I was like really, are you kidding me? There's mistakes that can happen. And I guarantee this was not an intentional or an everyday thing. And so it was just, the three of us it started going off when we were on our show, and we were like, what the hell's going on? This is stupid.
Yeah. Well, you should see some of the emails we get, but you start to, which could be a whole show in itself. I'm sure it would be very entertaining to read those emails out loud. But, we were wondering why it had been so long since we got one of those emails. So we tried to turn that negative into a positive and be like, hey, we got a lot of buzz from that. So, we stood behind how we shipped the card. The guy actually didn't have a damaged card. He just was unhappy with the way we shipped the card. But,
what really pissed us off about that, what pissed me off about that was the fact that, you have a customer that's upset. And that's fine. You're going to air your grievances. We've all done that on social media. Yeah. Twitter's great because you have direct access to their social media accounts. I tag at MojoBreak. You and Dan are going to get it regardless of what the content of that message is. But what happens is some people are like, oh, yeah, that's bad. That's, hey, they come to your defense. But then you get some jackass in there hey, if you're unhappy with this company, why don't you come over here and break with me? And it's just like, listen, dude.
To Stu's breaks from his van.
Oh yeah, it's never miss an opportunity for self-promotion. I mean, it was funny. There was a breaker in there that was all jumping in it, and then I went to their website, and they had a website that said that they actually don't sell the Angels in any of their breaks, that they always keep the Angels. And I'm like, how do you have any opinion? They're like, don't ask. They're all, don't tell. Like, we keep the Angels in every single break that we do. I'm like, wow.
Well, if I broke and I did that with the Royals, no one would care because they'd be like,
now,
the Royals suck. Like, nobody wants.
For now.
Until Bobby Witt is a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants above a Starling second year.
Right.
A couple years ago, nobody would have cared about the A's, but last year they had 5 hot rookies in every product.
So wait, let's think about nobody cares about the A's now. I mean, the A's don't even care about the A's.
That's a whole nother show that we can have Doug on for. We can talk about the best of the Bay.
Hot and A's is just that doesn't have a good ring there, so I don't think that works. Maybe rookies, yeah.
Again, it's cyclical, right? I mean, the A's were hot in 2012 with Cespedes, and they had like 6 dudes in Topps Chrome to chase, and then a couple of down years as far as breaking goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get it that nobody's going to care about the Tampa Bay Rays, right? Because there's not a lot of collectors. Well, wait until all of a sudden. I mean, look, who would have cared about the Padres 2 years ago? All of a sudden, they've got a loaded farm system.
Right.
They've got an Uber star who's at the beginning of his career.
Eric Hosmer.
You got Eric Hosmer. So yeah, it's all cyclical. But again, yeah, it's bad optics if you're trying to poach people because of somebody else's. And again, it's isolated. This guy could go. We all could go on and talk crap about anything we want because we have the freedom. It wasn't a Mike Tyson that said, you guys on social media, got comfortable talking negative about other people. It shows that you guys have never been punched in the, you've never been punched in the face.
Everybody's comfortable until they get punched.
Yeah. However, his exact quote is, and it's like it's poignant. It's like,
right.
I can talk crap about anybody I want on social media, and there's no repercussions. But man, don't come in there and try to poach somebody else's business. That's just
right.
Especially when you're a fly-by-night chucklehead, dude.
Right. No, we thought about having like a show on it and just like, but we're like, you know what? We don't want to waste our time. But it would probably have been a great show. It would have been like a Portnoy kind of ranting type of show. But you know what I mean? It's you got to take the high road. So.
But see, I don't. I can hop in there and talk crap to this dude and say, listen.
What is your favorite, Doug? What's your favorite product every year when it comes out? Like you're shoving Dan out of the way, you're shoving C-Red out of the way to open because you're going to want to be the one to open this product.
I think immaculate for all sports, just because I like the variety. There's just a bunch of different hits to get. That and depending on the rookie class, Bowman Chrome is always my bread and butter. Any of the Bowmans, whether it be Bowman Draft, Bowman, regular. I always love to jump in there and rip that stuff because that's my roots when I got back into the hobby was collecting prospects. So I still kind of lean on that.
I have a question because I like last year I really loved Topps Inception. I think when it first came out, when it was around like $75 a box, like it was a total steal.
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job. But how do you feel like that compared to when it was Bowman Inception and it was just like loaded with guys and that was a total Breakers product before it was even like to have a Breakers product, and they took it away. Like, how do you feel about something like that?
I wish they could have both of them. I was reluctant to give Inception a chance because I loved Bowman Inception so much. I mean, heck, I loved Bowman Sterling when it was 18 autos. I mean, it used to be 18 autos. Now it, then it went away, and now it's 5 autos. But for breaking, the more hits, the better. But I understand coming from Topps' standpoint, it's hard to acquire and have enough to build sets with as many autographs as they need or content that they need. But yeah, I do really miss Bowman Inception.
My question is, so it's not, my brain just stopped. It's not Topps Archive Signatures, or it's not, what's the Panini Chronicles? Like you're not dying to open Panini Chronicles and all the cards every other way. And
Chronicle. I mean, Chronicles basketball is fun. I don't know so much about Chronicles baseball, but yeah, they're all different designs. And I think we've had a conversation on Twitter how you can't even make a set out of them and stuff like that. And I think you guys shed some light to me on that. And I was like, you're right. So yeah, Yeah.
There are some that are great. Trust me, as a team collector, there are some that are just Obsidian, things like that are fantastic as non-licensed baseball cards.
Yeah.
But again, when you're getting 7, 10, 12 designs, and
Right.
as a team collector, it's like I've got to put all these on the same page because I have a limited amount of. I mean, pages cost a lot of money for one.
Right.
You have a limited amount, and it's all Panini Chronicles, so technically it's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But then you and I had a conversation too one time about what we refer to as ASS, which is Archive Signature Series, and I think you had said that it was a fun rip, and it's like as a breaker, I imagine it would be, but as a collector, if I just go into Mojo's location and drop whatever it is, $40-$50, due to the checklist, not anything on any LCS, or any online reseller. There's just no return. There's a handful of top level names, and then you get a bunch of watered down names. And if I'm dropping $50 to pick up a Franklin Barreto auto, that I can resell for $10.
I think I've seen the light, because I think when you talked to me on that, I had like 2 really good cases, and I'm all, this is awesome. But since then, I think I've had like 50 bad ones. So I think I've completely went on the other side. So especially this year, it was just like, wow, that's like, what are we getting? What are we doing?
I like it when you guys do those, like, hey, we're gonna do like $600 mixer, right? And
and they're great.
10 of those boxes, because then it's cool. You get in. And you guys have been always talking about this. The encased auto is such a cool thing, right? Like, hey, I got this encased auto. It's awesome. I think it was plates in 2010 plates and patches. You guys were like huge. I know Dan was a huge fan of. Yeah. And that encased auto to me was like super cool. It's just like I feel like that they should take that product and put it in something else and have it be wrapped up as its own thing. And then you open it and you get one encased auto. It could do a lot better. Before we have one final question. What is your all-time favorite pull?
Oh man,
like the one card that I remember you guys pulled the RG video card thing that Panini tried to do.
Yeah, that was cool, but it was redemption. So if it was like the gold-plated card, that would have been probably pretty cool. But I mean, I pulled 2 Babe Ruth cuts. I think that's probably pretty cool for me. The black Trae Young 101 Prizm I pulled, so that was fun. And there's been a lot. Those are probably my most memorable at the moment.
Nice. All right, well, let's get into it. The week that was last week's release is Topps Living Week 156. We had a checklist that came out that sold over 2,100. We had card 399, Adam Wainwright, pitcher of the St. Louis Cardinals, sold over 2,600. Card number 400, the Hall of Fame catcher Yogi Berra, sold just over 4,400. We also had 2021 Topps or Upper Deck Series 2 hockey drop, 21 Topps opening day, 2021 Absolute Memorabilia basketball, and 20 Panini Encased football all came out last week. Now, did you have a favorite product out from last week? Any of those just like you were super excited to open?
The Encased is always fun. And Series 2 was amazing. I mean, there's so many rookies in that.
Well, I had a good time because I opened 2 boxes. In the first pack of box 2, I pulled Steph's boy. How do you say his name again, Steph?
Kaprizov.
Yeah, Kaprizov. Yeah. So I was all happy. So that was fun. Hot off the presses, this week's new release is Topps Living Week 160. We had card 401, Bobby Dahlbeck, rookie first baseman of the Boston Red Sox, and card 402, Darryl Strawberry, outfielder from the New York Mets. The Strawberry picture, man, they couldn't find anything new. Like, I feel like they've used this. I know it's an art rendering, but they've used this over and over and over again. And does not look like Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Dahlbeck that came out today. I'm not a fan of that the new artist. They look different, and if you're putting together the whole set, there's a noticeable difference between the 2 artists. Obviously, they're 2 different individuals, but to me, sitting them side by side, it just there's more of a cartoon. I don't know if cartoony, more of a sketch effect, I guess it would be. If you set the Strawberry and the Dahlbeck side by side, you can tell. And to me, 400 cards into this, it's different. It's off. And I get it. I get why they did it.
but would you rather have them have two people do it or just go away.
Personally, I'd rather have it go away, but that's me personally and just my opinion.
Yeah, I can definitely see the difference there.
Yeah,
sure.
I know who can afford him. Francisco Lindor, 10 years, $341 million with the Mets.
$1 extra million over Tatis.
Well, at least Lindor has earned it.
Hey, Tatis' dad was really good. We also
Tatis's claim to fame was hitting 2 grand slams in an inning.
Okay, like that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but
that's more RBIs in one inning than you've had in your entire life, Ben, in Major League Baseball.
In Major League Baseball, yeah. But there was that one time in high school.
Yeah. But the thing was I was playing on the 12 and over team.
You know what? I'm going to fire up the show right now, and you boys are.
That makes it easy. Thanks, my producer there. 2021 Bowman first edition dropped, I think, a couple weeks back. We didn't talk about it, but it was an online only product through Topps where you were able to buy a pack, and I think the packs were like $10. But if you want a full box now, they're about $750. It's 24 packs per box, 10 cards per pack. It's a 150 card base set. It's a preview of the prospects likely that'll be in the full Bowman release upcoming in a few weeks. There are 13 Chrome prospect autographs randomly inserted. Spencer Torkelson and Heston Yurstead are among the signers. They're tough, though. They're one every 376 packs. Bowman First Edition also have others inserts. They have 5 Chrome prospect special edition die cuts that will have the first edition logo. And the die cuts land one in every about 1,400 packs. So, it's basically a paper, Bowman paper, as everybody calls it, with a little stamp on it. It's his first edition. I know the kid was Austin Martin from the Blue Jays was the one big first rounder that was left out of draft, which is interesting because usually it's the second pick they leave out to put in Bowman. And this year they left out, I think he was the 4th or 5th pick and moved him over. So, I think it's just it's a place warmer to me. I didn't think they had any listed, but my thing is it feels like it's just a placeholder until Bowman comes out, and it's kind of just like at that price point, $750 a box. Like, what are you expecting? If we're seeing that on that box, I believe that God, what's a Bowman hobby box going to run you? You're going to get a guaranteed auto,
right? So yeah, I mean, you would need Austin Martin to sell for like what? $400 a base to justify the price of the box at that point. I mean, I don't know if those cards are going to hold their, like when the dust settles 20 years from now, are we going to look back and be like, that first edition Bowman is what I want? Or is that Chrome Sapphire going to be the one I want? Or is that there's so many options out there that it's scary to say if I'm going to put my eggs in that basket or invest in that card, what's going to happen? So
what'd you just say? And if you did what to that card?
If I put all my eggs in one basket and bought into like first edition, right? Okay. And then 20 years from now, it's like nobody even wants it. Right?
He was harassing you about the I word that you use.
That I word, I just don't. It doesn't compute.
The I word.
Yeah, invest. I'll have to look that word.
Oh, that's right. There's a trigger that shakes you up when you hear that word, right?
It does. Well, my belly shakes up when I walk, so it's not that.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't make investments per se, but, I know a lot of people out there do. So
you invested in our friendship.
I'm speaking to the people out there.
Well, you have a vested interest because you've invested money into your business. So
True.
There you go.
And that is a little different because you do have a business that pays your bills at home. It's different than just Joe random walking into your shop, buying a random pack and saying, hey, what's going to be a good investment? Well, I don't know when these get on the ticker tape and the New York Stock Exchange, when all financial planners unilaterally and collectively decide this is an alternative asset class, then I think most of us that say it's not an investment, then we'll start to turn the page.
Absolutely.
Because you can't argue against it if it's now considered. But at the same time, once it is, now you've got regulations. And I've talked to a lot about that in recent months about the fact that, the more you get these high-priced individuals with NBA Top Shot and other things talking about this. As soon as COVID goes away, at least enough to free up legislators.
I pulled that card.
And
the legislators are going to.
Sorry,
they're going to regulate. See, you should have sold it like that. You should.
Actually, the guy that I pulled it for, I think when he sold it for $16,000. So I hope he doesn't see. I hope he doesn't. I mean, he paid like $100 for the team and got a $16,000 card. But now, I mean, I don't know what this will sell for, but yeah, he probably wishes he still had it.
Obviously, if it's PWCC, it's going to sell for about $10 million.
Yeah,
so we're good.
Well, is it going to get paid for?
Right.
That guy paid $100 and probably got paid $16,000 to exchange hands. That's a good day at the office,
right?
Exactly. I mean, because breaking, call it what it is. It's calculated gambling.
Mm-hmm.
With the high risk, high reward, factor in it. Some of us like to play the slots a little bit more. I can go play roulette, and there's a way you can hedge your bets to limit your loss and allow for potential gains. As long as you don't hit the zero or the double zero, that's what always cashes me and nails me. But if I'm going to go buy on Mojo, I'm going to buy into a product that's going to be heavy in base.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to get my money's worth and hope that half of it I'm guaranteed to know what I'm probably going to get in the mail tomorrow, so to speak. And half of it's going to be on the hope that you guys pull something.
Right.
That, some products are, I'm giving you my money and I'm letting it ride on one hand. And, hopefully the house doesn't beat me on this.
Well, the best part about it is that it allows people like collectors or, people to get in to something they might not be able to afford on their own. So they can buy a small part into a more expensive product. And that's the way I've always looked at it. Like, hey, I can go and you can get your team for a handful of bucks and hopefully you'll get a couple good cards out of it and you're going to be happy because it's your guys.
Right.
We saw the Prizm you pulled there of Trae Young from a few years back. We had 2021 Panini Prizm basketball drop today. It's about 23 to 25 to $6 million a box, depending on where you look.
Somewhere between.
Packs per box, 12 cards per pack, 2 autos, 10 inserts. You're going to get 22 Prizm parallels. It's a 300 card base set. There are some Prizm flashbacks that throw back to 12-13 was the first year of Prizm. So it's going to have some updated players with that old logo. There are 15
brand anyway
featured on that design. There are signatures, rookie signatures, and sensational signatures. You also have the inserts to chase. You have Downtown Bound, Fearless, Fireworks, and Widescreen. And there's an awesome LeBron that I saw this week. But real quick, the one thing I want to talk about is you had somebody pull. I'm pulling the picture up here. Yeah, this was funny. It was Panini's second year Prizm of Zion is his Mosaic rookie card, and it's like they didn't have another photo. Like one of the most very sought after rookie card, and they use the same exact photo. It's kind of like, okay, I understand what the cost sometimes of acquiring a photograph with somebody, but that was kind of tough. I want to break this down. So they also had a mix-up. So Wax Museum tweeted out there was a little Warrior mix-up where they mixed. They had Kayvon Looney base and Eric Pascal was a pink. Same dude.
Yeah,
that's Looney, right?
Yep, we noticed that this morning. I noticed it on the Eric Pascal card. I was like, "Ooh, that's Looney."
Yeah.
So,
hey, well, at least they didn't leave him out though. So I want to walk through this because I find this very interesting, and I've had this discussion with a lot of people about Prizm, and everybody's been a huge Prizm fan the last handful of years, and I get it and I understand it. I love it too. And last year I chased down retail and did very well. But when it first came out, there wasn't any retail product. It was a hobby box. And I know Doug can talk to this. You couldn't give away 13-14 Prizm basketball for the love of. I mean, you guys did. You gave packs away as prizes or whatever.
And people were complaining about it. Yeah, we gave it away. I'm sure there was Giannis's in the garbage from that era.
Yeah. So for 12 and 13, they had 3 parallels. The following year in 13-14, it went to 11. 14-15, it went to 18 parallels. 15-16, down to 14. 16-17, 13. So not bad. I mean, these aren't a huge amount of numbered parallels. Then all of a sudden retail starts to come out. 17, 18, 25, 18, 19, 36, 19, 20, 40, 20, 21, 44. How legitimately, how much of this are they making? And it's selling at this price. And my concern is that, can anybody tell me definitively that one of these rookies in this class, because that's why you're buying this, is going to be better or as good as Luka? And a Luka base raws in the $300-400 range right now. And you have Anthony Edwards selling for $250. And these guys are having, like, these rookies, like, we were so excited here in Sacramento about Halliburton, right? Weissman, down in Golden State could help them, rekindle some stuff. You have Ball in Charlotte. But is there somebody in here that's a transcendent superstar like a Luka, even like a Zion last year? I don't see it, and I don't see this product commanding that price, especially when you try to figure out actually how much they made of this. Are we going to look back in 10 years and laugh because, oh God, like, yeah, I have 50,000 2021 Prizm basketball cards. Well, they're $5 for a penny,
right?
I mean, what do you guys think? Am I crazy?
No, I mean, I think there's a couple things at play. There's more supply, there's more demand than there is supply, which is obviously driving up the price. The players right now, no, I don't feel like they're transcendent players, but they also did not have a summer league and very little college. I mean, obviously LaMelo went overseas and played with some adults, but some of these guys, they may not even come into their own until next year. So, and this whole industry is based on hype. So, and because it's the new booty, everybody has that FOMO. Everybody has to grab it, right? So,
yeah. See, do anybody looking for Michael Carter Williams? Because I have a small box
stud.
So, but that's why this whole speculative market is arbitrage, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spend $100 with you every day and get a $16,000 card, right? That's the outlier,
right?
But I don't need to. What I need to do is spend $100 with you tomorrow to get $200 worth of cards, because now I've doubled my money.
Right?
Is it going to happen every time? Absolutely not. But that's what people are banking on. I'm only trying to spend $100 to get $200 worth of cards, cash out. I've paid myself back with $100 profit. There's your arbitrage. And then what happens is now that guy who bought that stuff, or that collection of people that spent the $200, they've got to move it. And there's only so much meat on that bone. And to Tim's point, at some point this is going to run out. It's a game of Old Maid. It's a game of musical chairs. At some point, the music stops.
Don't get holding the bag.
Yeah,
it's
hot potato. There's so many different things that we could use as analogies that, you're okay as long as you're the guy, the gal at the beginning. We saw it last year with Project 2020, where people were buying these cards for $16.75, selling it. The second person was selling it for a little bit more. The third person, and then it got caught up to where these cards were taking forever. The print runs went off the charts, but that card has already pre-sold 6 times. 6 cancels, now 5 has to cancel, 4 has to cancel, and then all of a sudden you have, somebody that we've all bought from in the past got left holding the bag, and American Express is like, you owe us $80,000, and he's like, I don't have that. I had it yesterday, don't have it today, and unfortunately, you're seeing that, and I would imagine not necessarily your customers, but a lot of customers that are into breaking are probably maxing out credit cards, hoping to hit a Trae Young like that is a one of one. It's the outliers, but I'm going to, again, you just keep feeding that $10 bill into that slot machine. You keep dropping 20s on the roulette table or the game of blackjack, knowing that the odds of you hitting something are remote, but you get into it. And again, it goes back to FOMO. It's what's going on with NBA Top Shot right now, where everybody is buying packs and have no business. Literally a local guy on the radio is like, yeah, I'm buying it right now. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just know that I turned $200 into $800. And
but none of those guys have their money. That's my thing about the Top Shot stuff is like, oh, we're going to allow you to pull out like $800 every other week or whatever it is. And
It's what
To me,
happens what happens in pyramid schemes. That's what that is.
I've been sitting with over 3,000 in there for over a month, and they're still verifying my account. So I don't.
Yeah, so that's my whole question about it. Like, if you guys are making all this money and people are if I pull a card and I sell it and Doug buys it and Doug pays for it, why does it take so long for me to get my own money? Because you took it from him right away. So
somebody that did get paid, and I got to find the screenshot somewhere. Dan was telling me about this, that somebody finally got cashed out in ETC, I believe. And when you get, it's either ETC or ETH, one of the the cryptos, and when you send that kind of money to somebody, it tells you the balance of the person that sent it. And supposedly, once again, allegedly, I got to see the screenshot. It said that Dapper had over 204 million in that specific crypto,
and how much
in their account.
So I bought my first pack the other day just to kind of see how it works.
You got one. It's tough.
Yeah, well, it was $9. It was a prepay where they dropped on the 29th and then they went to midnight tonight. $9 the pack you get on April 7th.
Yeah. I
figured for $9 I'm going to piss away $9 at the McDonald's or the Starbucks.
Right.
And what I saw for the first time, because I don't play in crypto, I think that's a scam too. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I gave Dapper $9.78 after tax. And then there was a 10-cent charge because my bank turned it into crypto. And so based on it, it was a 10-cent charge. So I ended up having to pay $9.88. And that's the first time I've ever seen that on my ledger. And I was just like, really?
Did you put that in your checkbook? Did you get your pencil out and
no,
10 cents in my checkbook? Because that's
one day you're gonna swipe your ATM card and you'll be like, why is there no money in there? I had money in there this morning.
Well, I just look at my phone and I put my face on and I go to the app and it pops up and it shows me everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not
my wrist.
If it says, I worked for a guy one time. He's like, man, we got $15,000 in the bank. Man, I could spend that today. And I'm like, no, because you've got to pay your insurance and this and payroll's got to come out of that. And he's like, wait a minute though, but it says I have 15 grand. It's like, yes, you do. You literally can go take that out of the bank right now. But then we're going to have 18 things bounce in the next 24 hours.
Right.
So no, you don't.
I paid all my bills already. They've all cleared.
But you got to know what's being ACH, especially on, anyway, different conversation for another day. But
yeah, I got into Top Shot I was able to, it was like midnight one night. I was able to buy as many packs as I wanted. So it was like probably a week before the hype really got, caught on. So I got I think I bought $100 in packs and I got a LaMelo and I held on to it forever. And then I went on there and I was like, there's no way somebody's paying $3,500 for this. So I put it up for $3,500 and somebody bought it. So I have that money in there. So I literally spent $100 and I have $3,500, but I can't cash it out. I can't. They're waiting for my identity. They're saying I don't have to do anything. It's just a matter of time. And it's just like, okay, so something wrong here.
They own the IP, right? They're buying it from the NBA. The NBA still owns your digital moment. Okay.
Right.
They own the distribution, right? Because if I buy a pack from you, Doug, it goes from your account into my account as my money transfers.
Right.
They control that. And now, as you said, they have $204 million in crypto. They have that too. They have everybody's money.
Right.
When you have the manufacturing, so to speak, right? The IP, you have the distribution, and you have the money. That's what it is on a pyramid scheme. They literally control everything, and you can't get your money until they say you can.
Right.
This whole thing is a scam, and people are signing up that have no business signing up for it because even experienced collectors aren't 100% certain what it is. If they shut out tomorrow and said, hey, we're done, you can get your buy-in, and the rest of it's just paper money on a ledger somewhere in the ether. Mm-hmm. You get your $100 back. You're not going to see the difference.
Right.
Well, they just got
$305
million in financing and funding recently.
Yeah, it's all a pyramid propped up, and again, that money's sitting there making interest, and we keep pouring money into it, whether it's out of curiosity or whether it's on the gamble and the speculation. But
my thing is, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just my whole thing with it is like maybe it's because I'm an old man now, right? You could go into YouTube and see this dunk or pass or whatever they're selling, and people can say the same thing about cards. Like I can go look at that picture of the card online. You physically don't have that card like with trading cards. You have that sports cards. You have it in your hand, and you can it's just different than being I don't know. And maybe that's just me. And all the digital stuff, like I had a really hard time when streaming came out versus having the actual movie. I'm better now that way, but I don't understand. It's like it's a highlight. It's like, okay, well, whoop-de-doo, I watch SportsCenter. It's not like that highlight is exclusively mine, and ESPN wants to use it. They have to contact me to use that highlight.
Right. I think it's understanding the NFTs, which I still really don't fully grasp. But I mean, wasn't there a piece of art that sold for like $66 million or something crazy like that? It was an NFT piece of art that sold for like
it was a Logan Paul sold. Yeah, like one of the Paul brothers sold something, and maybe we should do some NFT for the podcast. And I'm not even quite sure. Like, you know what? You could have my earlobe. I don't know. But nice. We have one more new release to get to. We got some fun topics this week. But 2021 Topps Definitive Collection also dropped $1,500 a box. 1 pack, 1 cards per pack, 6 autos, 2 mem, 47 card sets, all numbered to 50 or less. Even though it's all hits, they're quote base set. Like in past, just the autographed relics with print runs of 50 or less. Definitive autographed relics. These have jumbo swatches and pieces of gear. The legendary autograph collection, collectors and definitive rookie autographs. Obviously, that kind of speaks for itself. Framed autographs and framed autograph stand a little bit because of the metal frame. You have the Ultra Patch collections. They have a puzzle element. Each has a large piece of number, nameplate, or patch. Individually, they're one piece, and you put them together to make a greater, to make the whole thing. Nice. And there's additional cards to help complete that. And there's also patch book cards. So you open the card up. It's a hard signature with large pieces of premium patches. The Definitive Collection is one of the prettiest products I think that they come out every year, and the small number of subjects in there kind of makes the checklist pretty good. So
yep.
Make sure you check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more details on these releases. What's brewing next week's release is a busy week. We have 21 Topps Tribute Baseball, 2021 Upper Deck Black Diamond Hockey, 2021 Upper Deck Skybox Metal Universe Hockey, which I'm very excited to see because the Metal Universe back in the day was legit. 20 Panini Select Football and 20 Panini Contenders Optic Football. It's kind of weird. Both those are coming out on Friday. I have a feeling one has to get pushed, right? They're dropping two pretty big products on a Friday. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think one's going to get pushed to that following Wednesday.
Yeah. And you said that, too, like with Upper Deck and the hockey stuff, I heard you talking on the breaks recently. It's been kind of tough because the product, even though you want to pre-sell it, it's been hard because they've been delayed in getting product out on said release dates. So,
the thing we had was Clear Cut was supposed to come out in like September. So I pre-sold it a month before, and it wound up coming out last week or a couple weeks ago. So it was like 5 months I had people's money, and everybody would email every week like, "When's this going to break?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You want a refund?" And they'd be like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay." All right. Next week, hey, they're like, "Next week, is it good? Would you know if it's coming out?" I'm like, I have no idea. Do you want a refund? No, I'll hold my team. It's like, all right. I mean, I'd much rather everybody be like, "Hey, I'll give you all refunds, and then when we know it's going to come back out, I'll put it back up." But and they've been notorious for that. They've been the worst. They usually were the best, but now they've been the worst when it comes to like pushing back release days and not hitting deadlines.
Yeah. Well, let's get into Infield Chatter, the hobby talk section part of the show. So this is a guy I've never agreed with, but this is my tweet of the month. Lando Calrissian said, "I don't want to hear about slabs unless you're talking about barbecued ribs," and I just thought it was hilarious. So many people are just all about slabs, and it's like, okay, like I just thought it was hilarious, and it's somebody I've not really ever agreed with, but I was like, dude, that's legit funny because
he goes out on limbs that nobody else goes out on that are just like some of the stuff that he would say to me before I finally added him to the block list. It was just like, dude, you are. But hey, yeah, if you want to talk about barbecue rib slabs, let's do it.
Yeah, or big old slab of bacon, right?
Hey,
Wild
I
card.
just got a big green egg, so I'm all about that
There you
barbecue
go.
life. So.
See, like, okay, so somebody sent me a thing. When you turn 35 as a male, you either have to pick you're going to get really into World War II history, or you have to get into smoked meats.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I went smoked meats.
Yeah, me too.
You know?
Yeah.
And Doug posts some of this stuff on Facebook. I see the pictures, and then I look at my messages, and I don't see my. I feel like Michael Scott when he doesn't get invited over to Jim's party. Like, where's my invite? Where is it?
Right.
There's an In-N-Out burger in Santa Clara. I don't know what street it's on anymore, but we were in there, and I was that close to your shop, and you wouldn't meet me over there to say hi because it was a Saturday.
Oh yeah, Saturday. I'd say I work all week. I got time for the kids on the weekends. That's it. You know what I mean?
I
Unacceptable.
remember who he is because they just sit watching YouTube all day, going, "Hey, there's Dad. When's he coming home? He's sitting there fondling cardboard all day."
Pretty much. Yeah. You pick the cards over me. You know.
And as I'm watching it over here, I'm singing "Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon."
Nice.
So,
Yeah, we'll have to have you come over and smoke some meats, man.
Let's do it, man. We're only Tim and I are only 90 minutes away.
Exactly.
I'll be more. We would drive down there, and then we can all have family time together as a group.
Yeah, exactly. Sing Kumbaya, you know. We'll do all that fun stuff.
We can.
We'll try to convert you to a Giants fan. You know.
No, that's gross.
He doesn't like
I was going to tell you. I actually used to be an A's fan. That was my breaking news. I alluded to it on Twitter when I was 8. The library in Santa Clara gave free tickets to the A's if you read a certain amount of books. And
nobody else was going.
Exactly. So I actually had an A's hat. I was a fan of the Bass Brothers. So the '89 World Series was actually a kind of a victory for me. But then my dad was a Giants fan, and I disappointed him, and I saw the light, and then Barry Bonds came around, and the rest was history.
Oh, so you're like a homer. So that's about the time that the A's started not doing well. So then I see. You know we're recording this, right? You said you were an A's fan, and it's now going to live on the internet forever.
I couldn't let my dad down anymore. My dad got so upset over that World Series right after the earthquake that, you know, he was upset, and I was celebrating, and you know, I just couldn't disappoint my dad anymore. So
I have handled outside for a week. So
exactly.
I have a black heart. You're not gonna give me this. Woe is me. Oh, that's a good story. Let me be nice to him now.
Everybody always gives me crap because they're like, you have two baseball teams, the Giants and the Royals, and it's like, well, okay. When I was a little kid, like I lived like the Royals were the only thing, and so when I moved out here, like back then you couldn't see them on TV unless they played the A's.
Right.
And so, like, and I played on the Giants Little League team the first year I was here. I hated the A's, and everybody has listened to this. But my friend always asked me if they ever make the World Series together, who are you going for? This happened. He asked me the question in October of 2010. And I said, it will never happen because the Royals will never get back in my lifetime. But then it did 4 years later. And I wore Royals gear all the time. I was all about the Royals. I even said, like, it's going to be a bittersweet thing. And, yeah, good old Bumgarner just kind of stabbed me to death day after my birthday to win it all. So it's a bittersweet victory. And then the next year they went and won. So I was like, okay, I got to celebrate, 4 World Series in a handful of years. So I was okay with it a little bit. So, we all make those mistakes. Like Steph was probably a Indians fan at some point.
Never.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is that real?
Yeah, that's HGA's having small trouble with spelling. They need.
So speaking of not
Grammarly.
Scott Michael, someone needs to.
Did you guys see the Tua with the Maui who thought that was a good idea? I mean, come on.
They've allegedly hired the artist behind those 2 clip arts.
Oh, okay.
See, and the thing is. Again, if we want to talk Project 2020 or 70, art is subjective. So if I submit a Mark McGwire card and they do something Mark McGwire related on that slab and send it back to me, that might work for me. But then if I go to sell that on the secondary market, I literally might be the only person that likes that.
Right. The one thing I do like about the color matching thing they have down. Like that's pretty cool. It adds a little bit to it. The thing
I don't like about it is that's not how you spell Michael.
I know. They've had some errors with spelling. They spelled Kobe wrong, I believe, too. Before they spelled it with an I believe.
C.
Oh, it was a C. Yes.
Now, my question with that Tua, I think it was a downtown insert that they put the little Hawaiian warrior in the background. Now, would every single Tua that came through like that, would they do the same thing, or would it be different? You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, I think they should keep. I think less is more.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
The color thing is cool. I can get behind the color thing. You don't need to add anything else.
I do I think didn't they call somebody out that sent in an altered Kobe card? Was it their technology that pulled it out where somebody had taken a sharp and blacked in the back of a card where it had been white chipped?
I think that was the other one.
CGS or
CGS.
There's so there's like 6 bazillion grading card companies now. By the way, I heard there's a couple more coming out this next month.
Jesus.
So somebody sent me something I can't talk about quite yet, but I'm very interested to see what's happening there. So wallet card. I don't know if any of you guys grew up with a wallet card. Terrence Mann of the Clippers did. He had a Rondo basketball card when he was in middle school when he made the A team. The next day he said it had to be the Rondo card. So he's kept it in his wallet every day since. And he pulled it out the night Rondo got traded to the Clippers, I guess, and he was going to get it autographed, I think. And it was all tore up and stuff. It's really cool. Like, think about that. Like, you're a kid, like, you make the A team, right? Like, this is a big deal. And it's like, okay, this guy plays my position. And then you end up playing with him in the NBA. Pretty cool.
Obviously not a card collector with the condition of that card he kept in.
Oh, no, but we all have had, like, a card we kept in our wallet at some point in time. Digital Butt came out. I saw some photos of this. My question is do you prefer the flagship that came out this year or the butt option that came out? Now, there's the Rondo all chewed up, but, not bad.
Yeah, but look at the smile on his face right there.
Yeah,
he's super happy.
That is what collecting
Absolutely.
is about. It doesn't matter what we talk about all the time. It doesn't matter what you collect. Just be happy with it. And it's your money. But, that's what's cool is if it's half chewed up, neat, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's that
one
scene
year in particular. I want to say Studio came out with like the little mini fake credit cards. I
had some of those
in my wallet for forever.
Oh,
I
those
did.
are
96, 97, somewhere in there.
93, I think. Was it 93 with the credit cards?
Yeah,
93 I had a Bonds, I know, and then they had the gold parallels, right? They had the silver, and then they had the gold parallels. Yeah.
So,
I take a lot of crap on this show and from other people about the 87 Maguires and stuff, and there's that meme of Joaquin Phoenix from the Joker where he's got his hand, he's got the cigarette, and you'll see a caption, and the line is, you wouldn't get it, right? And I think that's really appropriate for the hobby sometimes. Why we collect certain things. And other people look at us and go, why would you need X amount of this, right? Tim, how many Garrett Hampson rookies do you have?
over 100 at this point.
Yeah, I'm so close. I'm a few cards away from being able to say I've got a complete set of 1987 tops of just Mark McGuire's. I think I'm like missing 7 to be able to say I've got 792. And when people are like,
that's not the rookie.
When people say dumb stuff, it's just like, what? I literally thought about buying some 89 tops Greg Jeffries and super collecting that just because it's such a why the hell not?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't get it. She's like, why would you need a whole binder of the same damn card? It's like, okay, I can explain it to you, but odds are I'm not going to be able to eloquently make you understand in a way that would be something that you go, okay, now I get it. I can explain it to you guys. You guys would get it.
Yeah,
and that doesn't take anything,
I have a huge Sean Mannion collection. I don't think anybody has anywhere close to the amount of Sean Mannions me and Dan have. So,
well, I saw some of them listed on eBay for like $10,000, and I was thinking about buying a couple.
No, they're actually $199,000. Actually,
oh, that's what it was. Yeah, they were pretty expensive. So Steph had up there the bunt design. I actually kind of like that bunt design because it had like a wood grain to it, a little bit like the 87, but it was gray. It looked way better. I don't know. I mean, I preferred that over what actual flagship was this year.
over
because,
Donruss
like,
flagship.
The biggest thing was I didn't like with the nameplate issues. Like, it's super tiny. It's like you have all this space, but you make the name super duper small and it won't focus. But it's like that's a clean looking card.
Yeah.
Because then you could have the rookie logo down in the bunt section. You could put the if they have the All-Star Cup above it, and not have like the Alec Baum Topps opening day. Just it's got like 74 logos on it, and it looks like a soccer jersey or a NASCAR car because it's got all these ads, all these things all over. I don't know. Flagship you can find at Cracker Barrel now. Someone tweeted out that they found it at Cracker Barrel, so this is telling me that we're going to start finding baseball cards everywhere. So
where's their Cracker Barrels at?
We have one that's not too far from me. I've been there once. It was an interesting experience.
I like their cheese, but
yeah, I was like the smallest dude in the place. So
wow, it
wasn't. I don't know. So this is funny. This guy Drew said Drew Rips. He tweeted out a card and grading a 1-of-1 and said this guy cost him hundreds of dollars grading this 1-of-1. It's a Topps 2020 Topps Chrome Sapphire parallel the pink sapphire one, right? It's a 1 out of 1. It's a Ronald Acuna. So there's only one. So when you get it graded, it's now in the database. It came up a 6.
Ooh,
womp womp. Whoops,
that sucks.
There's a Cracker Barrel. But why? I mean, like, is there any reason to grade a 1-of-1? Because if it comes back a terrible grade, you're never going to be able to hide that because of someone, to look it up, just to, hey, has this been graded before because it's been cracked? Oh, yeah, it has.
Yeah, the correct answer is there any real reason to grade?
Well, yeah, we hate grading, but is there a reason to grade a 1-of-1? And the answer is no, because what's the idea behind grading first and foremost? Originally, you might say, well, to slab it, to be able to authenticate it, to be able to have a 6 versus a 7 and get the best version of this particular card I can. But we all know that right now, the mindset of everybody grading and sending millions of cards to these companies is the appreciation value. And a 1-of-1 does have a market cap. It always will have a market cap. Again, it takes one person to break that anticipated cap, but every 1-of-1 will only sell up to a certain point. And it is what the market will bear, and it is a snapshot, and in a bull market, it's going to sell different than it would in a recession, so on and so forth. There's a lot of economic variables, but it's a 1-of-1. There's literally one copy. So adding a 10 to it's not necessarily going to make it appreciate exponentially more. It could theoretically, but the problem is, are you willing to gamble on getting that 10 versus, say, I don't know, a 6? And everybody now knowing about it, it's like your best bet is in this day and age with all of the protection we have, you can put it in a top loader, any number, one touches, etc. Screw downs if you want to go back into the old days. Slap a little rookie, circle sticker right on the top of it. You put it in an old, orange faded, top loader from back in the day. Why would you grade something where there's only one copy?
Yeah, I mean, they could have done a minimum grade, right? I don't know why they didn't do that. But, I mean, sometimes if I know I'm going to sell something, I don't want to field the questions on eBay that, what do you think this is going to be? Or is it, or the authenticity of it, I guess. Some people feel like if I get it slabbed, this is authentic. It's not a counterfeit card because now this company slabbed it. I think it makes some people feel warm and fuzzy. That would be the only reasons. But, yeah, I don't typically tell people to grade 1-of-1s.
We get those all the time. Hey, what grade do you think this will be? Or can I see pictures of all 4 corners, front and back? It's vaccination report. It's, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a $2 card. I'm not.
I know.
But I would say this until the day I die. I would take your opinion, Doug, or Dan's opinion on what a card might grade at over anybody at BGS or PSA any day of the week. And the reason I say that is because you guys touch so many cards that I would trust your eye more than them, especially with the amount of time that they possibly or impossibly could spend looking at a card. I would hope that on a one-on-one they're going to look at it a little different than somebody sending you off a 1989 Topps Greg Jeffries just to be able to have one graded for the shits and giggles of it.
Right.
But if I had a card and I wanted to grade it, I would turn it over to you guys to have you guys take a look at it before I would trust anything at PSA or BGS. They don't have a system in place to where they can accurately ascertain on a consistent basis, and therein lies the issue with grading as a whole. And we've talked many examples. We all have examples of cards that were erroneously graded.
Right. Transparency.
So PSA came out and said, as of yesterday, they have temporarily suspended the acceptance of most submissions. We are not currently accepting value, economy, regular, express orders. We will take a tiered approach to reintroducing these service levels. Our goal is to bring all suspended services levels back by July 1st of this year. Then Steve Sloan, the president, had a message, and he said, since my last update, the momentum behind the hobby has only accelerated. In fact, our Collectors Universe president and CEO, Joe Orlando, recently shared the reality of surging submissions to PSA. They were getting we talked about this last, about 2 million a week. I'll try to further illustrate what has happened. The sheer volume of orders the PSA received in early March has fundamentally changed our ability to service the hobby. The reality is what we received recently, that we recently received more cards in 3 days than we did during the previous 3 months, even after the surge submissions continued as levels never seen before. And it goes on that the PSA's growth planning capacity remains in full effect. We recently added additional 30 or 58,000 square feet to the California operation on top of the 62,000 square feet they added a few months ago, furthering our ability to hire and process orders. Successful virtual career fair netted some candidates. We are standing at 783 people strong, and we are growing compared to the 421 employees at Collectors Universe in January of 2020. So they almost doubled their number of employees. So they're going through all of this stuff. My question is what had they done this 6 months ago, right? And just been like, hey, listen, we have to suspend these services because we're doing our customers a disservice because we're not able. Like, I know BGS is like, so this is a 2-day submission, but really what that means is the guy has 2 days to grade it. He can sit there a week, right? And it was like expected time to be with, And the prices you have to pay, like we talked about the guy that was missing the Joe Burrow out of 10 and the Juan Soto first Bowman auto. They got sent to the wrong guy, and they're like, well, we're going to give you the money for what you declared the value to be on the card, but it got these 10. They got 10s, so it was more than what he declared. He can't go buy another 10 for that price because he wasn't. Right. He was hoping he would get a 10, but he didn't want to declare a higher value because he would have to pay more to grade the card.
Right.
And so they're dealing with all this stuff. And so my thing is like, I'm glad that they've stood up and said, hey, we're getting hammered here. But it just tells me that like people are using this stuff to maybe grade like, oh, I got Kevin Herter here. His Prizm card, I'm going to grade 15 of these because he scored 10 points tonight. People are going to want it. It's like, at some point, it's like, why are we grading quantity versus the quality of the card? Like,
right.
But then it comes down to like, oh, you don't want to grade this guy, and then if you do have a graded version, like, hey, we don't want to grade Miguel Tejada cards. But so if you have a graded Tejada card, now it's worth more because they're not grading his cards anymore, and then there's this artificial market. Anyway, what do you guys think about PSA taking a breather on some of these submissions?
Just one real quick point before you guys, Doug had made a comment just a little bit ago about, there's maybe Giannis cards somewhere in somebody's garbage can 7 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. That really becomes the issue with grading quality versus quantity is, again, we're a speculative market. People are grading stuff right now. Tim, you made that point too. Who are you looking for in this particular NBA class? I'm gonna buy into a break. And I'm going to get all these cards, and I'm just going to send them all off, hoping that just a handful of them exceed my expectations, pay me back for all of the cost of the break or the acquisition cost of the hobby box, and then obviously the associated costs with getting it graded. That's the thing, is to say, well, we're not going to grade so and so. Well, what happens if so and so? You guys are Giants fans, right? Mike Yastrzemski has a popular name, but he doesn't nothing until he's 28 years old. Right, so if he's got and I don't know the catalog of his cards, but if he's got pro debut cards and Bowman cards and whatnot from years ago, who would have thought that he would have come out and been a MLB top 100 player at 29 years old?
Right.
Come on, and that's why I get why people are grading in quantity, but again, why are you spending all this money today, hoping that 5 years from now this card's going to pay you back?
Right. I think there's a lack of education from these new collectors. They're just sending everything. Third, fourth year Giannis is getting sent out. 10th year LeBron. I mean, I know some of the LeBrons are selling, but it's just like everything's coming in mass. And I think it had to happen. I mean, as a business owner myself, they're like turning off their money. I mean, they're like, stop. I mean, besides the $300 and $600 service, they're turning it off. So obviously they're, better late than never. Yes, it probably would have been better to do it 6 months ago, but they're doing it. And hopefully this will get them back to where people can get their cards back in a timely fashion.
Looks like he had cards in 2015 Bowman and 2013 Elite Extra Edition.
Yeah, so it makes it tough. My thought is, if I buy $100 card raw, and then I'm going to have to spend $300 to get this thing graded, what does my return have to be? Not what do I expect it to be. What does my return have to be on the secondary market for me to warrant this $400 cost? And it's got to be 2x. It's got to be 3x, because I'm not shelling out $400 to get $500 back and netting $100, man. I can do all kinds of things with $400 and not have to wait 6 months, a year for this stuff. It's just insane. People are doing this stuff like this in mass.
Not to cut you guys off, but my 6-year-old needs me to help her to go to sleep, so I am on daddy duty for the rest of the night. But
no
wanted to thank you guys for having me, and we'll maybe I can bring Dan along next time, and we'll
anytime. You guys are always welcome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
Love to have you back.
Yep,
we appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Definitely.
I love having Doug on, and whatever time we can get with them, right? Like Doug and Dan, awesome. They really. Those two guys and Chris Olds watching YouTube videos are the ones that really got me going back in the hobby, then finding Twitter and running into Yahoos and cardboard icons and a small other few really got me going. There's a couple things that I want to talk about. So Panini got caught twice this week that came out. There was a Justin Herbert booklet card with 6 pieces that had a New Era patch logo, and it was a woman's New Era patch logo.
Whoops.
It said New Era Women's, and then that was from Card Club Co. And then Wax Museum Club sent out Cole Anthony. Hey, Cole, any chance your head fits a U-size hat? I'm assuming you never actually wore this. And it was an absolute memorabilia card with a New Era hat patch that said Youth.
Okay, pulling up the pictures here. I do not know why my internet is acting so slow tonight.
Maybe you got my bugs because, knock on wood, mine's work tonight. So, but I'm just thinking, like, QC, like it says woman's, like, so the hell was he wearing? Like, are they just giving him anything to wear and then going, oh, that's cool, cut it out, put it in there?
Maybe.
Well, there was a picture, I don't think that I had posted, of a card, and on the back it said, and I know it's not the only card, but it says, this is not from any specific thing at all. And it's like, so what is it then? You're buying a T-shirt off of, at the Walmart clearance rack and cutting it up, and you can literally just say that, it's a color coordinated card of, again, let's just, the Dodger blue, get a blue color, and you stick it in a Cody Bellinger relic card. And I mean, how do we know?
We don't know, and that's the thing. Like, it all goes back to the Mark Ingram picture where he's wearing like 87 jerseys, all like number 80 because you get, or 88 because you get more patches out of an 8, like those big numbers than you do whatever their real jersey number is, or instead of their last name on the back of the jersey, it says rookie. So you're getting some guy that has no E in his last name, but then it's got an E patch because it came from a rookie jersey. Like that to me is junk.
There was a local collector, if that's what you want to call it, local gambler that was right for this current market, but he was doing it way back when you and I were getting back in, and he was a chucklehead. But when we used to listen to Cardboard Connection, when they were on, when their radio show, I was asked, because he and I had got into it in the chat room, and Rob Bertrand had said, hey, call in. We want to ask you a question. And that was right around when hashtag JerseyGate was going on, right? With the whole Derek Jeter jerseys, and it got bought by, I think it was Upper Deck, if I'm not mistaken. It turned out that some dude bought them and soiled them and sold them to Upper Deck as authentic. And,
yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And, this guy was saying, well, they're fake cards. And I'm like, they're not fake cards. The cards are real. They're produced by Topps, Upper Deck, and Panini. The cards are real. The relic swatch was what was called into question. And the reason that I was asked to call into Cardboard Connection was to defend my position that as an ace collector, I didn't care what the relic came from, because it was just a good-looking card to me, and it was an enjoyable card.
The TikTok music makes it better.
And so, when we buy these cards, it's got a women's new era. Yeah, that's going to affect the secondary market for it. But at the same time, if you're going to keep it forever, if it's a good-looking card of a PC player, a PC team, maybe you don't care as much as the guy that.
But it's still a bit. Come on, it's a bad look for Panini to have
that.
Exactly.
I was more speaking to the point of, if you're just cutting up you get a random white swatch or a team color swatch, that has no identifying marks whatsoever. How do you know it literally came from, this guy's Pete Alonso's Mets jersey was cut up? We don't know that. But if it's a good looking Mets card or Pete Alonso card, maybe you don't care. This is different because it's got an identifier on there that makes us know this particular player did not, in fact, wear that.
Yeah, it's goofy to me. And we talked earlier about the mistake, the missing in action. Kevin Biggio and Brent Becca brought it up last week, saying, has anyone seen the base card? I've seen 0 and 3 cases so far. He could have a wrong number, but there's no sightings here. I need some Heritage picture to tweet out some pictures soon. So Ryan, in that case, I've opened no less than 250 cards with the same error. What the heck? I messed up something there. But so on top of that, then Topps comes out and says, it has come to our attention that due to a production error, the base card 216 featuring Kevin Biggio of the Toronto Blue Jays was not produced. He was included in the base card, many variations, and the French back variation base cards. In the collector's wheel will find that card 216 and insert in 2021 Topps Heritage High number scheduled for release in November. Hoosier Cards tweets out, so hobby people, I opened a case of 2021 Topps Heritage and noticed every Trout card I pulled has Paul Goldschmidt's name on the back and vice versa. I can't find this variation. He opened no less than 250 cards with the same error. So he opened basically a case where a quarter of the cards all had the wrong backs printed on them. So I thought that.
It's weird.
If you're a players collector,
those two.
Yeah. Well, no, he has other cards. That whole stack is misprinted that way. He just pointed out that Trout and Goldschmidt were flip-flopped, but all of those cards in that pile all had the wrong backs or the wrong fronts. 250 cards.
Thanks, Topps.
So, yeah. There's somewhere with the Wood Minis. The Kevin Biggios.
That might have been a thing I sent, yeah.
So here we go. The hobby in 2021. First of all, Cardboard Icon sent me a video of, it looked like a club in the Bay Area that had a card show in it. And there were like women in all I can describe them as ring girls that one had like sparklers and the other had like a box of cards and they were dancing around. And there was like music and hardly any. There were club lights, like so it was dark inside. So I'm like, how are you supposed to look at cards in the dark? Anyway, he said this is collecting in 2021. I know, Steph. You're the only one. But Dr. Tabernacle said, I wondered why someone bought a random Austin Hayes card for my Com-C. Then I saw he homered. Yep, I saw that, Kyle Guy made a game-winning shot in a who cares preseason game for the Kings. So Kyle Guy cards were like $1 bazillion. LeBron James said, Horton Tucker is my best friend, and his card sold like crazy. Guys,
remember last year when Taylor Heineke took over the Washington football team, and everybody was like, especially on Facebook, you saw it all. You're scrolling.
Who's got Heineke cards, man? I need my Heineke.
Show me your Heineke, and it's just like,
yeah, I'll show you my Heine, baby. Yeah,
it's like, hey, bring it down a notch. Settle down. This guy is having a couple of good games.
Take a cold shower.
Season. If this guy does it again next year, again, I say it all the time, right? I would rather pay established market prices, even though it's going to be worth more, or cost me more, than it would to pay speculative prices. Why? Because now the guy's for real. I mean, and that's why like the Francisco Lindor contract makes sense, where the Tatis contract, although it might be a great deal for the Padres over the next decade plus, right now we know what Francisco Lindor is. We're hoping that Tatis becomes that. But it's a very risky contract for San Diego, and it's one of those things like you're buying up. Uncle Rich and I went back and forth on it when Mason Rudolph takes over for Roethlisberger, season before last, and I'm like, why are you spending $400 on a card you literally could have got for $12 yesterday? And he's like, because there's new fans, and I'm like, Uncle Rich, there are not any new fans. Steelers fans have all of the Mason Rudolph cards that they wanted. Okay, these are people that are hoping that they're buying for X, and they hope that it continues to appreciate for Y, and they can get in and get out, Gigo, and they profit Z. It's arbitrage. It's an opportunity. That's all it is. It's not I'm collecting Mason Rudolph cards anymore.
Well, and here's another crazy collecting in 2021. Kirby Thomas Jr. 1 says, I finally got motivated to move some 87 tops that I've been sitting on for a year and a half. When I bought them, I figured I'd be lucky to get $20 from it. It's a sealed wax box, and you got $52.95. Everybody crushed 87 tops and made fun of it, and you can sell a wax box for $53 now. So then, this is where we are. B. Hester sends out. Was talking to a couple buddies today. This might be uncomfortable for some people, wondering how many people are sitting on maxed out credit cards due to breaks, still hoping to hit the big one to wipe it all out. If you're living in that world, whoo, buddy.
Well, there was a good follow-up, essentially. How many people are thinking of something worse because it's all maxed out?
That's not good. Guys, these are trading cards. They are supposed to be a hobby. Damn it. Something fun to do. If you can find a way to make it a business like Dan and Doug did, right, where it's a legit business, and they work. These guys go back and go to their YouTube page and click on oldest to newest and watch the first dozen videos and see where they are, and then hit newest to oldest, and then watch a couple of videos from today, and not tell me that decade that they've put into this, and who knows the struggles behind the scenes they went through to get where they are. And guys, if you're maxing out credit cards to buy 2021 product, I am sorry for you. I remember my dad and I were collecting a lot, and we really got back into the hobby in 87. But by 1991, we were collecting a lot. And I remember buying 91 Upper Deck and 92 Upper Deck football cards. Now, if anybody knows anything, those draft classes sucked for rookie cards. Now, you did have Favre, but at the time, he was with the Falcons and he was with the Packers. He hadn't really exploded to the Brett Favre we know. But 92 was a bad draft class. But it was Upper Deck football. It was a big deal. It was awesome. It was the new thing. And you go back now and it's like, dude, how much money did my dad drop buying those cards for us to open? And they're legitimately just, they have good memories for me. But, it's like, guys, be careful on what you're buying right now. And if you're despite okay, do I put gas in the car today, or do I buy these cards and hopefully I have enough gas to get to paycheck Friday and it's a Wednesday? Like that to me that's a scary proposition. So
real quick, Good as Gold in the YouTube chat said, why criticize them? Let them collect in their own way. And how many times have we said, if you didn't want it yesterday, you don't want it today? The best time to buy something is when nobody's looking, right? If the quarterback goes off for a ridiculous game and, the Gardner Minshew, right? A guy that just comes up out of nowhere, when Daniel Jones went off and had a huge game and Uncle Rich is like, oh, you're getting all, it's like, this guy was the 6th overall pick. We knew that Daniel Jones was going to get his opportunity as soon as the Giants set Eli Manning aside. His market was always going to be extremely right. But when you get a guy out of nowhere, like a Randy Arozarena comes out last year, there are going to be people that are going to legitimately collect. But the majority of people are speculating that they can buy in now and continue to cash out as that player.
You want to buy before the guy takes off. You want to buy before the guy's starting. You want to buy before the guy throws the game-winning touchdown or makes the game-winning shot. You want to be ahead of the curve because you want to be set up to sell when that guy hits.
Yeah, and that's why we're criticizing the idea behind buying Mason Rudolph when you literally could track sales last week and say this card was selling for $15, and this week, because now he's the Steelers starting quarterback, and it's temporary, most likely, not always, but most likely, a guy like Mason Rudolph, and now it's selling for $300-$400. It's like right now is not the time to buy. If you want to be a Mason Rudolph fan, great. He got benched for that other dude, right? The third string quarterback. I forget what his name was.
Duck.
Yeah, Duck Hodges or something like that.
Yeah.
And now Mason Rudolph cards could probably be bought for extremely inexpensive. I don't know his market, so I can't say for certain. But that's the thing is you're literally buying at the wrong time.
But if you want to, and I have them for sale, buy, because I'm okay with it. But the thing is if you're trying to make money on it, that's the hard time to buy is at the peak. But it's also hard to know when the peak is because say he went on a 10-game tear, like when Roethlisberger took over his rookie year and he won all those games in a row, right? Like we all knew he was going to get a chance, but we didn't think it was going to be that early, and you could cash in. So my whole thing, I just buy and sell as you want and go after, but again, it'd be smart about it and not just because somebody else is doing it should you do it. This is the time to look the way people aren't looking because there are people that are there are guys that people are missing on right now that are going to come back and you're going to be able to cash in and do quite well with. So,
and for people out there that like to speculate, that like to say that this is similar to the stock market, cool. First thing any wise financial advisor, stockbroker would tell you is diversify your portfolio. You want to get into this player a little bit, cool. Put some eggs in that basket, but don't put all of your eggs in that basket.
All I want to say is the guy that we talked about for GameStop, right? So all these people were buying into GameStop, and the stock kept going up and up, and so everybody thought, well, this isn't the peak yet. I'm going to buy in. And then the people that bought at the peak, and when the bottom fell out, they were left holding $300 shares of GameStop that now are worth like what $75. So they were still valuable if you bought them at $8 to $75, but not if you bought them at $300 because you were real late to the party. Anyway.
So speaking of Rich, I found the video that I sent to give you guys an idea. Each of these are about 20 high, and this is the second row deep, plus 5,000 counts. So all of these rows in the back, plus these three, plus some individual prizes, and of course Rich's computer.
Yeah, it's like the Pringles.
Rich does, yeah. Plus they make good boxes for prizes.
There you go.
That Pez dispenser is kind of cool.
My favorite thing is I want to get to something fun. Brian Gray tweeted out from @Leaf CEO. Never have done this before. I'm very close to exposing a player who refuses to honor his contract, and when told he is harming collectors who are holding redemptions, frankly doesn't care. I'm about to sue this kid and will not settle for any price. It's time to make an example. Somebody said it was J.K. Dobbins. I went through. I don't know, who it was, but I just want to sit back and see, who this guy is, because a lot of times Brian does not like to release redemptions in his product. That's the one thing I can say about Leaf, is if they don't have the autograph, they'll pull the guy, and he's just not in the product. At this point, I don't know who it is or who they put in there, but I want to see. I want to know who it is. I want to see who it is. We're going to follow up on that one. I thought that was quite funny.
I'll give Brian some kudos too this week. I had our buddy Andrew Reno of Bayside Breakers reach out to me and ask if I could coordinate a conversation. He had an idea for a product. I don't want to, say what the idea was, but he thought it would be an opportunity for Leaf, and I reached out to Brian and put the two of them in contact, and Andrew kind of said, here's what I'm thinking, and Brian's like, hey, let me run it by some people at the office and see what they think. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts, I'm sure, as far as, acquisition rights to the contracts and in the individuals. But I thought it was really neat that Brian's open-minded to that, and good for him.
You know what? We talked about how upset I was, and I wanted to give him my money. I gave him $100 last week because they finally released Pro Set cards, and they ended up listing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And 9 was a golfer, and I was like, "Well, gotta have it." It was card number 9 in the set. So I dropped a hundo with Leaf the other day, and I was very excited to do so because those Pro Set cards, just right here.
I saw somebody today had a bunch of Trevor Lawrence on Facebook, and he was selling them, and man, he had them graded already from GMA, and I'm just like, oh dear Lord, sweetheart, it's like, right. At some point, you gotta understand that just to get it graded, and the comments were just roasting him. It's like you literally devalued those cards by putting GMA on them. It's like I put one in a binder because I'm gonna page up the set. And the other Trevor Lawrences are tucked away, but as good as gold. I'm glad you're in the chat tonight because you sent me an awesome eBay link. I sent it over to Steph because I know he would appreciate it. It's a 2020 Bowman Chrome Oswald Pereza auto, and the title of the listing is 2020 anatomically correct. Good Lord, Tim. Oswaldo Pereza auto, Bowman Chrome auto, best card ever. Look at the auto. Look at the location. I think they wanted like $20,000 for it. Yeah.
If you just Google it and go to highest price version, or go to eBay and go to highest price version, if you're listening to the podcast, it will pop up. But this was a card that said Steph needs to own.
And not at that price.
No, not at that price. But
and not for a Yankee.
Oh, and the description too. The description of this card goes into some great detail. It's quite awesome, and
card is.
I wanted to say thanks for seeing us that way.
And top loaded, and as it's important that a card like this is wrapped up properly. Card looks clean, but I don't guarantee any grades. They're planning on sending it in. I recommend you guys read through this.
It's really good. It's like a good 2-3 paragraphs.
Somebody got their creative writing college degree.
If you were somebody like Gary V, for instance, and we're going to use him because he's a big a name in the hobby or associated with the hobby, and you had his kind of money, yeah, you're not going to drop $20,000 on this, but a reasonable amount of money, just because you can, and it's not going to affect your pocketbook. I think this might be a fun card to own just for the hell of it, right?
Yeah. And he even put free shipping, so he's not going to gouge you on the shipping, even though it's $20,000 for the card.
Because I was curious if this was like a steady thing or whatnot. It looks like he's trying to draw an O and an A or a star. But on this one, yeah, maybe he was like scribbling to test the pen. Get a quick
Yeah,
circle.
'cause that autograph looks different than any other one. So
Either that or he pulled a Disney and he intentionally trolled everybody.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Steph, can you drop the link into the chat? People want to see.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. So
Also,
I appreciate. We love
speaking
when
of
people
the
send us stuff like that.
person that Ben mentioned. Bayside, can you tell your Sharks to start losing, please?
But see, they don't lose until the playoffs.
We
hit the
2-0 against my Wild.
question of the week. 9 Pocket Page, the 2010s team. I love Ben. By the way, I love the names that you use because and here was great for your catcher and for your right fielder. I just thought those were perfect. I had a real tough problem at second base because I didn't want to pick the 2 guys that should be on the team, but I just sucked it up and did. So, Steph, because you actually followed directions and you didn't pick a DH this week, I'm going to let you lead off.
Well, see, so...
And by the way, you did pick the right catcher. I appreciate that.
Did I, though?
Yes.
Did I?
There's 2 other options you could just pick, but the one you picked was the best.
Well, you could have easily went Yachty, and probably should have. No, I went with your dude, Buster Posey. You think about 2000s to now, and you've got Yachty, you've got Mauer, you've got Posey, and not much else.
Sal Perez, but he's definitely a tier below those guys.
Sure. First base, so many good home run hitters, but I went with a guy up until recently had never popped up to first base. Joey Votto. Great Reds ambassador, 2,000 some odd hits, 300-ish average. For second base, I went with J asterisk, S asterisk, A asterisk, T asterisk, V asterisk.
Is that English?
Jose Altuve.
Okay.
Couple things
Who
on
is
the
one of the guys that might be shorter than Ben.
Shortstop, I kind of wanted to choose a little bit different than you guys because I could have went with Tulo. But no, Starlin Castro. He dual second base shortstop threat, but he played more at short throughout the 2010s. And then third base, I really wanted to choose Elvis Andrus to go with this person because of their pairing, but I went with Adrian Beltre. And then left, center, right, McCutcheon, Trout, and Nick Markakis. I'm struggling to think of a better right fielder, but he's really underrated. 2,000 some odd hits himself, nearing a 300 batting average, 1,100 some RBIs. Kind of an under the radar player. And then Clayton Kershaw, Dallas boy here.
Ben, what's your team look like?
Yeah, catcher, I went with Gerald Posey. First base, I Votto, I thought about him. Goldschmidt is who I chose. Freddie Freeman obviously deserves a shout out as an honorable mention. Second base, I went with Altuve over Cano. Shortstop, I went with Tulo. I don't think your answer is going to be wrong, Tim. I think Tulo had more success over the whole decade, and that's why I chose him. Beltre at third, edging out Arenado and Donaldson. Christian Yelich in left field, Trout in center. Right field, Mike Stanton. I do think, Tim, your answer is probably the right one. And then starting pitcher, there's a lot of guys. I mean, Kershaw, Verlander, Scherzer. I personally went with Kershaw.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
But
Wouldn't do it.
Sergio Romo is my closer.
I thought that you'd probably go with a non-Dodger, Tim. So, again, just for the sake of – and, again, these are our pages, right? This would be something theoretically. But DH, I went with Chris Davis. Left center, I went with Ryan Braun. Right center, I went with Bryce Harper.
Who do you have selling hot dogs?
I had – so Frankie from the Bronx beat out Vinny from the Bronx. Barely. I mean, it was really, really close. And a lot of it was because Vinny from the Bronx he started a little bit later. Frankie had the whole decade under his belt, and
So
I just
if you're
like
looking
how he mustards the bun. That's all.
If you're looking for hot dog vendors, I actually did do that for one summer, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
Nobody cares.
At the Ranger Stadium.
Listen, I had a whole list of guys on my list because
it was a fun job. I finished by 7.
and then Tim's like, "Hey, Steph, not 134 guys." I was like, "Sorry, asterisk 133." We've been saying it. No DH.
My team, I obviously had Buster.
Sergio Romo.
I had Buster at catcher, Miguel Cabrera at first. Votto and Goldie were, pick one. It doesn't matter. Pick one.
I struggled not to pick Miggy, but with age, I thought he was a better 2000s player.
Yeah.
Robinson, Cano at second. Just the other guys were picking Votto, so but it was a tough spot because it's those two guys and like nobody else. I thought Pedroia, but I looked and he was all right, but
more of a second baseman, wasn't he?
That's what I'm talking about. Second base,
kind of halvesy again, kind of split the decades.
Yeah. As short, I had Francisco Lindor. He came up was at 11. And so he's been productive more recently than Tulo. At third, I had Nolan Arenado. There's a handful of guys you could have gone with at third, but the Gold Gloves kind of pushed over for me on him. And he kind of played an obscurity playing in Colorado, and I'm kind of excited to see him in a real baseball city in St. Louis, and hopefully have a chance to do something well. I had McCutchen, Trout, and Mookie Betts in right field. So my pitcher was Max Scherzer. You could have gone, Bumgarner, Kershaw, Verlander, CC Sabathia, Zach Greinke, all on the list. A lot of lefties, if you notice, on that list. So there's a lot of good, very solid pitchers, but those were, you think about just those names, like those guys came in, they shut out. Quite honestly, CC would probably be more of the 2000s.
Sure.
Last decade, again, he's going to be one of those guys that kind of split it. And then what about like the late 2000s, early 2010s Phillies with Halladay and Cliff Lee,
and
the idea being right now, right?
What could have been
on a table in front of you, you've got Kershaw and Verlander and Scherzer, Greinke, Sabathia. You got say 9-10 guys on there, and you have to pick one card to slide into your 9-pocket page for your pitcher. Which one are you going to choose? And your biases are going to be shown, right? Tim, why didn't you pick Kershaw?
Not going to pick him. Not going to pick it up. Not going to pick it out here because he beat up on my.
Not going to pick a Jeter. Not going to happen.
We did that. We collectively just didn't do that because we wanted to be dicks. But
But again, there's no right or wrong answer. Even though Matt Chapman wasn't around for very long, he came up in 2017. To me, it's not enough of the decade to trump Beltre, Donaldson.
Oh, that's a word we can't say on the show.
We're using it with a small t. But again,
King Felix.
Sure. DeGrom has been solid, but again, it's been just the last couple of years. I think he came up in 2014. I think.
This Chapman.
And the Mets are 30. The Mets are 36-40 in his starts over the last 3 seasons, and that man's had a 2.1 ERA.
It reminds me of Matt Cain. Every time he would go out and pitch for the Giants, he would get like a run or two.
Tim Hudson, same way with the A's. When he got traded to Atlanta, it was like, thank God for him, not for the A's, but thank God for him. He's finally going to get more than 2 runs of run support. That man would come out in the 6th inning, 2-1 lead, and then the A's bullpen would lose 4-2. And I'm not a big win proponent. I think it's a horrible stat, but still, at the very least, you got to win the game. We're not talking about
Yeah. Okay. Question: quality start should be better than wins, right?
Yeah. Okay. You would think. Yeah.
Any final thoughts? We're going to do this for the 2020s, even though we've only had a season. We're going to kind of look into the future of this decade. So who knows if we'll have, I know Bobby Witt Jr., Jason Dominguez, or Ken Griffey the fifth on our list.
Let's get some of the listeners and our buddies that want to chime in. Hit us up on Twitter with your list of, project the next decade, because this isn't fan favorites. This isn't guys that are on the fence. Do we go Cano? Do we go Altuve? They're both linked to cheating, obviously. This is, how do you look at the next 10 years? Let's get, a handful, half dozen, just to kind of see the wide array, because I bet this one's going to be all over the place.
Yeah. Yep. Any final thoughts, guys, before we head out this evening?
Actually, yes. 1 second here. I'll let you guys give your final thoughts.
I just want to thank Doug Caskey, Fresh Cardboard, MojoBreak. Half of the Batman and Robin duo. Let them decide who's Batman and who's Robin. Appreciate his time this evening. We'll get Dan Anderson on soon. And submit your lineups of what 9 players would you put in a page for the next decade. And
DH and closers.
As good as Gold has said, it's opening day on the East Coast. There we go, right?
Okay.
It's officially opening day.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So real quick, this came up. The most popular jerseys in MLB. Here's the top 10. Which one of these would you wear tomorrow on opening day? Okay, just based on the player. Number 10, Mike Trout. Number 9, Kiki Hernandez.
Out of nowhere. That's an interesting one.
Number 8, Francisco Lindor. Number 7, Ronald Acuna Jr. Number 6, Aaron Judge. Number 5, Clayton Kershaw. Number 4, Bryce Harper. Number 3, Francisco Tatis Jr. Number 2, Cody Bellinger. Number 1, Mookie Betts. Who are you wearing tomorrow? I'd wear Mike Trout.
Trouty.
I don't like any of them. I guess I'd have to go somebody like Lindor because I hate the Dodgers and I hate the Angels. Kiki Hernandez, that's interesting, though. I saw that list earlier and I was like, wow.
Dodgers title. I mean,
yeah, he's on the Red Sox now, though, so maybe that's why. I don't know.
Didn't he have a fairly decent postseason?
Yeah. Hey, did Justin Turner sign with anybody? Justin Turner?
Yeah, he's back with the Dodgers. I think it was a 2-year deal, if not mistaken. Yeah, I'd probably go Harper because Harper's fun to watch.
I wish he would have signed with the Giants, though. I really, really do.
He's going to toil in misery. He's going to be Mike Trout on the back half of his career. Where
it's going to be A-Rod. It's going to be A-Rod with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, my kids are going to go with their grandma, who she watches them throughout the week for us. But they're going to be out of the house tomorrow. My wife's working, and at this point in time, I'm all solo. So I'm going to be sitting in my office listing cards and watching opening day baseball. I'm quite excited tomorrow. So it's going to be fun. All right, Steph, what's your final thoughts tonight?
Crack and Wax, see if you can find me a Twins fan for this guy. I'd love to surprise someone. Nominated. Hey, cool. But no, I'd love to see if my stream doesn't die when I turn on the camera. Thanks for everyone that nominated me and my new best buddy, Andrew Brotherton. This arrived in the mail just yesterday.
Very cool.
And I had a chance to tweet it out, but I figured I'd give a shout out on the show and do that right afterwards here. 269 out of 372. And despite the fact that it is a chrome, it's not labeled as such, but these reds are really amazing.
Yeah,
love the color on it.
Well, it helps too that I've seen a few of the A's and they just don't do it for me. Twins obviously have red, so it's definitely going to help if team
I got to give
color.
a quick shout out. One of the guys I'm in a fantasy baseball league with set something up where it's like a home run team challenge thing you get to pick. And based on the bat projections of home runs hit for the season, you had a 240 home run limit to spend, and you have 9 starters and 3 bench players. So if one of your starters gets injured for the season, you get one of your bench guys gets moved up to the starting lineup, and the team with the most home runs, actual home runs at the end of the year, wins the prize. So it was really fun to go through, and you kind of like, okay, like one of the guys I picked was Evan White of the Mariners. He's only projected to hit 23 home runs. But I think maybe if he hits 25 or 30 or 40 home runs, then you make up some guys. I'm excited. I just was like one of the things I was kind of a different way to maybe partake in some fantasy sports action. So I was really excited to do that. And I should have talked about this earlier. I forgot. When I was in college, one of my favorite things to do, my roommates and I, some buddies, you'd get 4 guys, and you would all have 16 draft picks. And it was a round robin, so pick 1 through 4, and then 4 through 1. You would pick all 64 teams in the March Madness tournament. And so you had 16 legit teams so to go through. So if you thought like a 12 was going to be to 5, you could draft them a little bit higher. And then it was one of my favorite things to do. Haven't done it in some years because I haven't found anybody enough into college basketball to play with. But for next year, if you guys want to do something like that, there's a fun game to play. But anyway, we're going to head out tonight. We appreciate everybody hanging out, listening to us. I mean, 144 episodes. Are you kidding me? This is awesome. We're
50.
Yeah, we're nearing 150. We're also nearing the end of year 3, which to me is incredible. We started this when my little guy was like 2 months old, and he's about to turn 3 years old. And so, it's we never thought we'd be here. I never imagined that we would meet some of the people or have some of the people we've had. I mean, we've had professional baseball players. We've had professional football players. We've had company CEOs. We've had other podcasters. We've had tons of different people that have been in the industry from different varieties. Hundreds of years ago, like Uncle Rich, when he was selling T206 off his bicycle. So it's just great. So
as a grown man, he was selling those T206 as a grown man.
It's weird. His wheels, they weren't round; they were actually square.
Mm-hmm. He didn't think to keep me an Eddie Plain. What a guy!
Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific,
10 Central
on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. Give us that thumbs up. We love those, or hearts, or whatever platform you see us on. Tell us you love us. We love that. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. Mm-hmm. You can always follow me at Big Chef 79. And please share your hobby stories, great polls. Send your questions our way, and send us your 2020 decade lineup. We'd love to see them. I'll put something out this week. And we'll see you all next week. Keep collecting.
Yep.